I invited all my Facebook friends.
Did you really?
You should have. You should.
All 31 of them.
Oh.
Stop it.
Right here.
I don't see that one. I have 31 friends on Facebook.
I hear y'all. Sounds good, right, Mama?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, gonna mute.
I didn't know we were.
Hello, Facebook community, and welcome to our Facebook Live this morning, where we are so excited to continue to share information with you on what is taking place in Edgewood ISD. And today I am so excited that you are joining us because we have so much wonderful information to share with everybody. We are coming from spring break. We are having our intercession week, and so there's still a lot of information to share. So we are so happy that you're joining us. Let me introduce myself. My name is Kayla Calderon, and I am the Public Information Officer for Edgewood ISD, working in our Office of Communications. And joining us this morning as part of our conversation, we have Miss Teresa Salinas, who is one of our school chiefs here in Edgewood ISD. And then we also have Mr. Travis McIlvain, who is also one of our school chiefs. And we're going to be talking a little bit about the roles of our school chiefs, and then some of the things that we can expect as we get ready to start this last couple of months of school. That it's incredible. We're talking about already the last couple of months of school. So I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. And again, we invite you to leave your questions here. We are having some questions in the comment section. So if you want to leave your questions, by all means, we hope to answer those here within our Facebook chat this morning. But then also, hopefully, if we can't get to it today, get to those questions, within the next 24 to 48 hours. So just again, some of the things we're going to be talking about is what we can expect as we start prepping for these last couple of months of school that have gone by so quickly. So let's go ahead and get the conversation started. And Ms. Salinas, I'm going to go ahead and start with you. And can you talk to us a little bit, what is the role of a school chief here in Edgewood ISD? Because a lot of our staff internally, they see you work with them often, but just can you explain to those that are watching right now, just what is the role of a school chief?
Absolutely. And before I get started, I want to say good morning and thank you, Edgewood community, family, and staff for logging in. The role of the chief is very tied to the campus. We provide a lot of direct support, on-site coaching. We provide support in operations and management of the schools. So this extends from staffing and finance to classroom observations, observing faculty meetings, attending faculty meetings, professional learning communities, talking to principals about the instructional program, reviewing plans, and a lot more. But I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to Travis so you can share a little bit as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, good morning, everyone. It's great to be with you, and glad that you've tuned in. We have the incredible opportunity of really supporting some fantastic school staff, from our teachers, our classroom teachers, and really all of the support systems that are in the schools. And so our job is to make sure that people have what they need to do their jobs well, to support our principals in supervising the schools and managing all of the activities of the school, in planning for what's to come, making sure that instruction is high quality in our classrooms, that what we're providing, the services that we're providing to students is appropriate and is cutting edge and always striving to get better. And so that's really our role, is to just support all of that work. And we're super excited to be able to do that. Very humbled at the opportunity and grateful to serve in such an incredible district with great kids, very supportive community, and really committed staff.
And one of the things that, having both of you here, you've talked about all of the support that you offer all of our campuses and our staff, and each of you support a different zone. So we'll talk a little bit more in depth in a few minutes about our innovation zones, but I'm sure you've heard over the course of the last several years, Edgewood ISD has our 5 innovation zones, and so each of you support those zones. Mr. McElvain, can you tell us the zones that you support, the same as Ms. Salinas?
Absolutely. So I have the real privilege of supporting our public service zone. And like you mentioned, our district is separated into 5 zones, and so we have really incredible and unique offerings for kids. Depending on what zone they're in, we have vertical zones that go from early childhood all the way up to high school. And so it's all intended to give our kids options and choice for their education. And that's really what it's all about. And so my zone is the public service zone, and it has some really incredible offerings, such as unique programs that start early at the elementary levels all the way through, our unique partnerships with Texas A&M University San Antonio at Gus Garcia University School, which is our middle grades program. And then it matriculates or goes up to high school, and that goes into Memorial High School, where we have leadership offerings, we have culinary and other public service offerings for our kiddos, the opportunity for students to get technical certifications and graduate with even our early college high school program that goes through Memorial as well. And so we just, so that's kind of a big picture public service zone. And so, again, it's all about giving our students choice and giving them options in terms of how they want their education to, whether they want to focus on in school.
And that's really key, because that's one thing we've heard from our parents is they want to have that choice for their students, and they really want to put their students in a school that best serves that child's needs. Ms. Salinas, can you also talk to us about the zones that you cover and the campuses that you work with?
Absolutely. So I support 7 schools from elementary to secondary, which includes a middle and a high school. I support the STEAM zone, which is a very awesome zone. We have a lot of vertical alignment happening in our zones. It's really important that there's some continuity. The intent behind zones and offering specific programs is to ensure that we continue to foster creativity that leads to our students being able to be successful in the workforce, pursuing their passions, going into different colleges, knowing what it is that they're able to do. And so we're really excited about that. And so that's the STEAM zone. The other zone that I support is the leadership zone. What's cool about the 2 different zones is there's a unique focus in each of the zones, and all of the zones really, like Travis kind of mentioned. And so within the leadership zone, really excited about partnering with the Texas Council for International Studies. It's going to be a really great IB program there, focusing on leadership. So the students that are able to go through those, what will soon be a K-8 academy, will be able to advocate for themselves. It's all about critical thinking, advocacy, being able to dialogue, work in teams, collaboratively. And then we also have some partners in our STEAM zone. So I'm really excited about our recent partnership with Chamusa. So like Gus Garcia, we're building more pipelines. And so we will be partnering with Chamusa over at Winston Elementary. We have Perales that launched their STEAM focused school this year, and they'll continue to build upon that program. And then we have the leadership schools. We have Roy C. Settles, that's going to be an all-boys school eventually, and so we're really excited about that leadership school, and also the Las Palmas Leadership School for Girls, which has been very successful this year. I'm really excited about the new partnership to the school. The principal, Ms. Munoz, launched last year, in district, and now we have a partner that's really going to be able to provide some robust programming, and that's really why we partner in schools. because it provides a lot of access to expertise and financial support that our kids really need to buy things like great flexible furniture and things of that nature.
And when we talk about these partnerships and the roles that you do every single day, again, we're talking about elevating the learning that is taking place in our schools, taking place in Edgewood ISD, because at the end of the day, we want to continue to fulfill that outcome, which is to graduate all of our students. And so a lot of support that our campuses are receiving, a lot of support that our students are receiving, and again, all of this taking place because we want to offer the best to our students. And so thank you for just sharing a little bit about what that role is, and how it is that you're supporting our campuses. And one of the biggest questions that we've seen throughout the course of this year, in 2021, and of course all of 2020 since the start of this pandemic, has been the safety measures that we have implemented in our schools that we cannot stress enough, because I know parents call us, you call us, you send us messages about what are those safety protocols that we have in our schools, because again, school is continuing. We have students who are here in school. We have been, we've offered the different options of learning for our students, right? We have a remote option, we have in person, and then we have a hybrid model. But it seems like virtual is working for some students, but for other students, they do a lot better in person. And so can we talk a little bit about, you mentioned working with the campuses every single day. Can you just recap a little bit, Ms. Salinas, about some of those safety protocols that we have in place that I know is a big concern for our parents?
Absolutely. First, before I get started in answering that question, I want to give a shout out to all of our teachers and administrators at the campus level. They have really been extremely helpful in ensuring that the practices that we have in place are consistently monitored and adjusted. And I think that's very key, Kayla, because as we continue to bring more students on site, we're continuing to refine all of those practices. And so what you're going to see is a consistent use of masks in our schools. We have sanitizing that happens every day in our classrooms. We have, social distancing signs everywhere. We have, in some cases, as our kids continue to come on site, and please know that we have plenty of room. We want you in our classrooms. We are continuing to add additional plexiglass or different safety measures like partitions on desk and things like that. And so it's been of great benefit. And we also have several staff, now vaccinated. So that's been very key and essential to maintaining such really low levels at our campuses. I feel like our campuses are very safe places to be.
And that's something that we are very proud of, because we have been offering the vaccine to our staff. We have also been testing all of our students, all of our staff, every week. We do this every single week at all of our campuses. And so what we've seen is very good results from that. And so, again, safety being a big priority for a lot of our families. And so we want you to know that that will continue as we go into the next couple of months. And then I also want to mention that our board did make a decision to continue with the use of face coverings in Edgewood ISD, even though our governor had mentioned that masks were no longer required in Edgewood ISD. We will continue to wear masks at all district facilities. So we are going to continue with these safety protocols. And Mr. McElvain, I know we were talking about the safety that takes place. We were talking about all of our schools, and we're seeing some of the protocols that we have in place. And I think you've heard great responses from our staff regarding the opportunity to be tested every week and having the opportunity to receive the vaccine.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's a great point. And Ms. Salinas actually hit on it earlier. Our district has really done a great job of providing the multiple learning environments for our students. And so for kiddos up to this point who's determined that it's better for them to work from home, we've been able to provide quality instruction from home. But at the same time, really nothing is a great substitute or is an equal substitute to that interaction daily with teachers in the classroom. And so we are really looking forward to continuing to bring back more of our students into the classrooms. Working remotely from home works for some very well, and for others, it's a it's been a necessary alternative, but it has not been the ideal alternative. And so we are encouraging as many of our students as possible and encouraging parents to really consider bringing their children back into school for face-to-face learning. We've been very cautious to make sure that we follow, all the safety guidelines and the protocols that Ms. Salinas has talked about. But we really want to encourage that. In fact, our staff has done an incredible job of making sure that safety protocols are being followed in the classrooms while they're integrating technology in the rooms and doing some really exciting and innovative things with teaching. So because our teachers are teaching students that are right in front of them in the classroom at the same time that they're teaching students who are, through a computer virtually at home. And that is not an easy task. And they've done an incredible job of learning different techniques and just adjusting and doing all the things that it takes to, it's a lot of juggling, Kayla. And so they've done a great job of doing that so far this year. And we'd love to take the opportunity today to just encourage parents to consider sending their students home, considering that Edgewood, we have the weekly testing. We have over 1,000 staff members in the district that have already received the vaccination, and we're excited that others have signed up. There's been a huge effort from the district's part to connect with resources to make sure that our staff has access to vaccinations. And so we're doing everything that we possibly can do to make sure that our kids are safe. And so we're going to continue to do that while we're also making sure that they get and receive a high-quality education.
Absolutely. And I just want to recap while we're going through our conversation. I want to welcome you if you just joined us this morning. We are having a Facebook Live chat this morning with our school chiefs who are talking about what is going on in our schools right now. I know we're just coming from spring break and there's been so much going on. This is an intercession week for our students as well, but we're already thinking about welcoming our students back on Monday and then already thinking future. We're thinking the last couple of months of school, already planning into next year. And so that's what our conversation is. I invite you to, if you have a question, please leave it in the comment section. We're going to do our best to try to answer those questions at the end of our conversation this morning. But if there's any questions you may have for our school chiefs, please make sure to leave them there. And then going back to the topic of conversation on safety, one of the other things that I want to make sure that we talk about, Ms. Salinas and Mr. McElvain, we're talking about how we are testing our students every week, how we are testing our staff every week. What can we remind parents about, if they're transitioning their students back to school? Because you mentioned we're going to start transitioning more students back into our campuses. The importance of information being updated.
Yes.
With their, communicate with their principals about maybe address, contact information being updated.
Absolutely. And we also encourage, and just, by the way, we've been transitioning. We've been extremely flexible with our families. We have parents that, may have said after a grading period, I want to keep my child at home, and then have called, 2 weeks later to say, you know what, I want to go ahead and send my child. And we are making room. We are ensuring that every kid who wants to come on site is on site, and if you're not on site, we're going to continue to encourage you to come on site. And part of the benefit of that is that you are able to participate in weekly testing. And so we do encourage all of our families. It's a very painless process. It's a very quick process. It's not intrusive. I have seen our little babies up to, our big seniors, be able to take the test with a lot of ease. And so if you are an on-campus learner, you are going to be joining us next week when we return. We're excited to have you, and we ask that you continue to keep all information current, that you fill out the screening information so that your child can test every week. And it's very quick.
And how can we make sure that our parents are aware, if they do want their child to come back to school, who's the best person for them to get in contact with? To contact the school, contact the principal?
Yeah.
How can that process take place so that way they can make sure they do and get what they need for their child?
Absolutely. Our parents really just need to make sure that they have good communication and contact with our schools. Our campuses and our staff are open and available to speak with our parents. And so if there's ever a concern that any one of our parents is having with their child's progress in class or the quality of education that they're getting, we're absolutely open to make sure that we are available to talk to them. And so give the school a call, ask to speak with the principal or an assistant principal or a counselor. If you have specific needs, if there's any needs that are directly around classroom instruction, parents should be able to get a hold of a teacher and expect a very quick callback if they're not available at the time. And so please make sure that, we want to make sure our lines of communication are really open to parents, and it's not hard to get a hold of someone. And so that's our commitment. And so we're asking parents to make sure that if there is a concern, if they do have a need, if they want to send their kids back, if they're not sure what's needed or the process for anything, that they know all you have to do is give us a call, come see us at the school. We'll make sure to give you a health screening before you come in the building, make sure to get you, hand sanitizer and a temperature check, but then get you connected with the person or the resource that you need to be successful.
And that's why it's so important that the contact information for the parents, for the family is up to date. So that way the campus can continue to communicate with them. And then the other question is, as we're talking about students coming back to school, how is that process taking place? Is it the principal who gets in touch with the family? Is it the teacher who gets in touch with the family? Can you explain a little bit of what that process is like in case, again, we have some parents watching right now who may be interested in, bringing their students back to school, but who can they expect a call from if it's needed?
Well, our campuses are reaching out to parents in a variety of ways. And so as many different ways that we can get messages to our parents, we're using them, whether that is direct mail to parents' homes, but oftentimes really timely communication goes out through the various learning platforms that parents have access to. And so our students who are working remotely, and even the ones that are on campus, they get campus messages. Even if it's a letter from the principal, the teacher will push that letter out through Teams, which is one of our online learning platforms, through Seesaw at the elementary level, and through some of the other online learning platforms that we have available for our students. Those messages are being pushed out. We also do, and so parents can expect, if you see an Edgewood number pop up on your phone after hours, it's probably an automated message giving you some really important, timely information that could be coming directly from the campus or from the district. And so having those open lines of communication is really important, and trying to communicate in as many different ways as possible is also critically important. And that's kind of what today is all about as well, getting timely information to parents through this medium.
Absolutely, and we want to make sure that we continue to communicate with our parents. So that's why it's important, again, that contact information be updated. And as we always say, we like to extend that customer service to our families. So if there's ever a question that you have, please make sure that you reach out to your campus, and that way they can best help answer any questions you may have. So a lot of safety procedures in place, Ms. Salinas, correct, as we
Yes.
continue our conversation this morning, but we want to emphasize those safety procedures.
Absolutely, and I would like to, before I address that, to also say that our teachers are really the main contact for our families. We have teachers that are, in communication with families and students as they're kind of working with students to ensure all the work is done and they're logging in on time, that our families are saying, hey, can I have my child back in your classroom? So please just send your teacher an email and let your teacher know, and we will ensure that administration is aware and all the right safety precautions are in place. And so as we think about safety in our schools, we are working very hard to continue to maintain all the safety measures that we started with, back, when we opened our schools, and we wanted to ensure that there was a lot of separation in classrooms and that there were clear markers and indications. We've elevated our safety measures. Now we have, bottled water dispensers that are put in place where kids can bring their water jug or whatever and fill it out without, they're touchless, right? And so doing things like that have been very helpful. We're moving from, the general temperature checks with the little electric thermometers, right? To now screens where you can literally just go up to, this station and kind of square your face in there, and it gives you a sticker and takes your temperature, right? So there's no touch on some of those things as well. We have bell schedules in our schools that remind our staff and students, hey, it's time to wash our hands. We know that wearing our mask and washing our hands and keeping our hands clean is like the best prevention. And so we want to
Right.
continue to do those things in our schools.
And a lot of these plans, just to make sure that our families are aware, a lot of these safety plans are on the campus websites.
Yes.
So again, if there's ever any questions, you can visit those campus websites. Here we're seeing some images of the different protocols and the daily sanitation that takes place and what we're asking our students to do. And so just again, these safety plans are on their on the campus website. So if they ever have any questions, again, reach out to the campus. And so thank you for talking about the safety measures that are in place at our campuses and that continue to be implemented here. Even though it's March, they continue to be implemented.
And if I may, I'll say that as a result of many of the safety protocols that we have put in place to make sure that we are maintaining safe environments for our staff and for our students, we have been able to really enjoy an extraordinarily low positivity rate district-wide. And so whereas we're really happy that Bexar County, the numbers are going down and continue to go down, we're going to continue to do everything that we can. And I know our community is doing the same thing to make sure that you stay safe. But throughout this pandemic, even when our numbers across Bexar County were in the double digits in terms of positivity rate, the district has maintained an extraordinarily low positivity rate, below 1% at all times. If I'm being accurate about that, and and we'll make sure that there's a correction if I'm not. But I know that we've been around 0.07% most of the pandemic, which is just drastically lower than the highest points of our community's spread. And the message behind that is that school has been and will continue to be a safe place for students to be. And we want to maintain that. We want to make sure that we are doing everything that we can, that we're being extra vigilant to ensure that safety is our number one, and that our parents can send their students to school with confidence that we're not just taking this lightly. That while our number one mission is to teach our students and to engage them in authentic and great learning experiences, we can't do that if first we don't make sure that we're keeping them safe. And so we are going to continue to focus on that and keep our eye on the ball so that our parents have the full confidence that when they send their students to our schools, that they're going to be very well taken care of. And they know that because of our weekly testing, because of all the daily safety measures that we're taking, they're safe.
Yeah.
And they're going to be well taken care of when they're with us.
Absolutely. And that's key, that's critical for our parents to know, to be aware of. And so again, safety, top priority in Edgewood ISD. As we go from talking about safety and the safety measures that we have in place, these are going to continue, but learning has to continue. And so we're getting to the part of year where, again, we're March, April, May, June, towards the latter part of the school year. There's still a lot of activities, still a lot of learning that's going to take place. So can we talk a little bit about what can we expect for the next couple of months? And so I know we've touched on it a little bit. We've mentioned students coming back to school here during the month of as we close out March, getting into April, but what can we expect into the latter part of the year? Because I know that there's a lot of end of year activities that we need to look into. There's testing that's going to take place. And so can we talk about that just a little bit and bring us up to speed on where we are with that?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start us off. And so we've already are well into our testing season. We've been doing a lot of middle of the year assessments, benchmark assessments at elementary. There was a huge a transition around more continual touch points, very structured from teachers. So we went into more whole group mini lessons that were provided, not just in the morning, but throughout the instructional day. So you've seen an increase in instructional time, and that's really important. While our teachers were reaching out and still working with small groups of students, it was important that our teachers provided more direct instruction. And so you're going to start to see more live teaching, across the board. You're going to start to see more communication, more outreach. And this is why it's so important, because as we start to reach the culmination of any one given school year and we get into the last grading periods, we want to ensure, our goal is to ensure that students are successful and are able to be promoted to the next grade level. And that's really contingent upon our students completing all of their assignments, our students actively engaging, not just, connecting in the morning or submitting, one piece of writing, for them to be counted present. Beyond that, we need them engaged. Present, absolutely. Engaged is what needs to happen for our children to be successful. We know that we shut down rapidly, in March, and we need to get our students back. You're also going to see an intercession coming up in June, where students will have the opportunity to ensure that they're caught up.
And you mentioned the intercession. This is an opportunity also for those students that do need a little additional support, academic support. That's the purpose of the intercession, to help those students. Can you talk a little bit, Mr. McIlvain, about how it is that that support that students receive during intercession?
Absolutely. It's a great question. And intercession is not just sort of like a complete break from learning or from activity. Even though that for some, there may be less activity than you would normally find in a regular school week. Every single one of our campuses have developed their own plans for intercession. And we've allowed them to develop their own plans, and we haven't given them like one thing that they should and could and have to do. We've allowed them to develop their own plans so that they can tailor it to the needs of their students. And teachers are really the ones who are really involved in creating these plans for students. And so what is intercession? Well, it is sort of like a break from regular instruction for our students, but it gives them an opportunity to, some students need to get caught up on assignments where they just, things have happened and maybe they've gotten a little bit behind or they've been overwhelmed. And so they need some time that, that more assignments aren't being piled on. They need some time to get done with the assignments that have been assigned prior. Other students need some really targeted support from teachers. And so teachers have identified students in their classrooms that need that sort of small group or one-on-one individual tutoring. Intercession is an opportunity to take a break in the middle of the grading period and just focus on those needs. And so if I'm a student and I've been struggling, if I'm an 8th grader taking Algebra 1 at one of our amazing middle schools, because we do offer high school credit Algebra 1 at all of our middle schools. So if I'm there and I'm getting a little bit overwhelmed because I'm struggling with some of the content, instead of waiting to the end of the grading period and hoping I pass, intercession is sort of like a pause that the schools put in place so that my Algebra 1 teacher can spend a little extra time with me and get some of those concepts under my belt so I can be successful going into the rest of the grading period. And so I kind of look at it like that. And it's great that our schools are able to have the flexibility of creating their own individual plans based on their students' needs.
Right. And that's why, again, making sure that communication is taking place with the child's teacher, so that way if there are those areas that maybe the child needs, the student needs a little bit of support, they can receive that attention that they need. And so we talked about our intercession. We talked about, we're in the intercession week right now, and we talked about some end of year activities that are going to continue. One of the biggest questions that that I know we have received on Facebook, some of you have been asking, we've received some calls on it also, is we talked about the safety protocols, graduation. Do we have an idea of what graduation will look like? Do we know, will it be similar to what we did last year? And again, keeping those safety protocols in place. Can you share anything on that?
Absolutely. So we are in the throes of planning out our graduations for both Memorial and Kennedy that involve our Fine Arts Academy students. And we're so super excited about this being the culmination of our students, lives in school with us. And so I can tell you that we are planning on having some really amazing graduation ceremonies for those who were able to attend graduation last year, those in the community who may have been there to celebrate our students last year. Graduations. We're planning on having a full-scale graduation in person. Of course, we're going to follow the safety protocols that are appropriate for the time, depending on where we are with CDC and with our community, with the city and county guidance. But yeah, absolutely. We would not miss an opportunity to really celebrate this tremendous accomplishment. And so as we prepare for graduation, obviously we want to emphasize for our seniors who are getting ready to graduate, continue to keep your eye on the ball. For our parents who are supporting seniors, I have a senior as well in my house, and it's easy, at this point of the year for them to, start thinking life beyond
Right.
high school. We want to make sure that they get everything that they need in place to be ready to graduate, so that they're not scrambling at the very end. And so that means making sure their grades are up, making sure their assignments are turned in, making sure that they're getting all the credits that they need to graduate, because we're really excited about celebrating them in a big way. And so we're so proud of their accomplishments. In fact, we have some really special things that have happened in our schools with our seniors. This year is the first cohort of seniors, and that means like a group of seniors that started in 9th grade. Now they're getting ready to graduate, who have been part of our early college high school program. And so we have a number of seniors at both Kennedy and Memorial High School who are going to graduate with their high school diploma at the same time that they're going to get a 2-year associate's degree from college, which means it's going to put them 2 years ahead of all of the other peers that they go to college with.
Yeah.
They'll be able to graduate with a bachelor's degree, some of them by the time that they're 20 years old, and entering the workforce, putting them, so much further ahead. I don't know if I should share this live on Facebook, but I crammed a 4-year degree into 7 years myself. I graduated with my bachelor's degree when I was almost 24.
Yeah.
Think about that. Our seniors who are graduating with their associates at the same time that they're graduating from Memorial or Kennedy, they're going to be put in a position of earning 4 more years of lifetime earnings than I was able to earn. And that is quite an accomplishment that we're proud of. So yeah, we're excited about graduation.
And again, that is our goal in Edgewood ISD, to make sure all of our students graduate college, career, or military ready. And that's why
Absolutely.
it's so important, as we're talking about graduation, that, if they're seniors now that may need some additional support, to make sure they get everything they need to graduate, that they receive that support, but also the undergrad, the lower grades, right? Eventually, everybody will be there. That's the goal. And so that's why it's so important, all of these other things that we were talking about, keeping in contact with the school, keeping contact information up to date, making sure you participate in areas if there's support needed. It just all aligns perfectly to, again, reaching this big milestone that you were mentioning, Mr. McIlvain. So please know that there will be more information shared on graduation as it becomes available, but we are definitely looking forward to it. Do we happen to have any tentative dates or not yet?
We do, and I'm trying to make sure that I don't misspeak live, so I'll come back to that
Okay,
question.
perfect. But we know that graduation is taking place, so we'll make sure that we share that information accordingly. And as we're talking about sharing information, please know that you can always follow our social media platforms. This is where we share all of the information with regards to what's going on in Edgewood ISD. You can follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. There's a lot of information on our YouTube channel as well. So again, just always know that we share that information on our social media platforms, and everybody is always welcome to join us on our platforms as well. So then as we transition to talking about school, kiddos coming back to school, we also have the conversation about closing out the year, right? We were talking about testing. We were talking about the assessments that are taking place. We talked about intercession. One of the things that continues is, even though we talk about graduation and we may finish a school year, they're still planning for next year already.
Right.
Because even though we're in March and we're thinking about these end of year celebrations and activities, we're planning already for the next year. And so with that said, we talked about innovation earlier, and we talked about the innovation that's taking place in our district. What are some of the updates that we can expect into next year, and what should our parents know with regards to the innovation, to the choice school that they want to select for their families? Pre-K also, that's been a big, we know pre-K is also, the enrollment is important for our families for pre-K as well. So what can you share with us about that? And again, as we close out this year and already start thinking about next year.
Choice is really extremely important to us, and we want to ensure that all of our families are selecting their first choice, their seat in their school that they would like to attend. We've got so much innovation going on, and it's important for families to note that the planning and it is so critical to how we staff schools. It's critical to the programming that we're able to offer. We want to ensure that we know who's going to be where. And so please, if you have not reached out to the school, if you have not gone online to see our choice options, please do so. We encourage you to really look at all of the different options we have in our zones. We have Brentwood STEAM, which was our first school to launch an innovation that will have its full innovation now going into its third year. We have 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Lots of opportunity there for our scholars to really get an experience that is unlike no other. We're going to be, and we have started partnering with the New Tech Network, which is really great. And so there's this innovation side of things, this zone side of things, and then there's the what do kids get to experience. And so with Brentwood Middle School, STEAM School of Innovation, they'll actually be engaging a lot of project-based learning, inquiry-based discovery. Our teachers have been working very closely with our partner, Friends of P-Tech, to ensure that we're designing very great learning experiences. And then Kennedy's going into the P-Tech. We talked about early college, high school, and earning the associate's degree. P-Tech is a great opportunity to also be able to engage in higher ed education with the focus on career and technology education, which is really great when you think about all the certifications that students can leave with. I mean, our kids are leaving our schools ready to be high paying wage earners in different careers. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, that really is exciting. And we get excited about this when we see the opportunities that we're offering our students. I mean, this is really exciting work. That's why we want to make sure that we continue to share this with our parents. But again, the innovation is going to continue in Edgewood ISD for a while now, for the next couple of years.
Well, innovation is, innovation is never going to leave us, Kayla, to be honest with you. Now, whether we innovate through unique partnerships with other organizations or whether we innovate just within the district and at different campuses, we want to make sure that we are giving options to students. And that's really what innovation is all about, is making sure that, our students ought to be able to, they deserve the right to be able to go to a school that is tailored to their unique skill set, to their dreams, to their aspirations, to the things that we really want to do in their life. And that's what it's all about. It's about giving families choice. And so that's the whole goal of innovation. And so it's never going to go away. It'll be with us from now on. And innovation really inspires creativity. And so, Ms. Salinas talked about Brentwood and some of the offerings in her zone. But when we talk about innovation on the other side of the house, where Gus Garcia, with our partnership with Texas A&M University, Burleson School of Innovation and Education, in partnership with Texas A&M University, we are able in Edgewood, on the west side, to offer just incredibly unique programs to our students, where for the first time, a middle school child is going to go, it's not a middle school, it's a university school. Yeah. They go in, they get the university experience, they get exposed to professors. We had the president of Texas A&M San Antonio come and visit one-on-one with our students, tour the campus and meet with students, take questions, and we're going to be bringing in a lot of exciting, whether it's a special guest or lecturer or very unique professional development to our teachers or college tours, all kinds of other opportunities that our students would not otherwise be able to have without innovation, without partnerships. And so it just enriches the environment for our kids. And quite frankly, our students deserve it. They deserve the highest quality education that money could buy. And that's what we're here to make sure that they have.
Absolutely. And one thing that's so exciting about this, and again, I think you can tell we get really excited about talking what we can offer our students. One thing that it's really wonderful to see is in Edgewood ISD, we have something for everybody, from our early childhood learners, right? From when they're teeny tiny, all the way to our 18 plus students. And so we have something for every level when it comes to our students. So we're really proud about that. So I really appreciate your feedback. I really appreciate you sharing all of this information. And again, we know that there's so many questions, so many things that people want to know about, our parents want to know about. So as we continue with our conversation this morning, I do want to get to a couple of questions that we've received here on Facebook. And again, just making sure that if you're aware, we're having a conversation with our school chiefs this morning. If you just joined us, we're having a conversation with our school chiefs. We're talking about what we can expect as we go into the latter part of this school year. And if you have any questions, if you have any comments, please feel free to include them in the comment section. And we're going to go ahead and answer a couple of those questions already. One of the questions that we received from Vicente C. is, are remote learners still going to be remote learning until the end of the year?
Well, that depends. And I'll jump in, and Teresa,
Yes.
by all means, back me up. That really depends on...
Vicente, thank you for your question, by
Yeah,
the way.
no, it is a great question.
Yes.
And I have personally, and it's not about me, but personally, I have kids who are both remote and in-person learners in my own home. And so I understand the unique challenges that being remote causes. And I shouldn't say causes, but that just come with that environment of being remote. There are some great benefits, but there are also some challenges. And we have students who are doing very well in the remote environment, but we have other students who are working remotely who are really struggling. And there are learning gaps that are being created. They're behind in work. They're not being successful in their classrooms. And so we have been communicating with those parents to, first of all, encourage them to come back to school, trying to convince them that our schools are safe. We're going to do everything we can do to make sure that they stay safe, but get them back. So to answer the question directly, yes and no. There will be remote learners who can remain remote for the rest of the year. And then there are going to be some remote learners that we're going to say, you know what, it's time for you to come back to school, because that's the only way that we're going to be able to ensure that you get that you get the support and the help that you need in your classes. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Ms. Salinas?
No, I think that's really important. And I think that the closer we get to expanding, and opening up access in San Antonio, in general, we want to continue to open up access to all learners. We also have students, we have freshmen who've never been on a high school campus, and that's extremely important. And we have all these activities that are in the planning stages, and we want to be able to ensure that our students have access to that experience. And so we are going to continue to monitor the situation. We know that students right now who are struggling need to be in our classrooms. And so as parents, I ask that you talk to your children, you encourage them to continue to come on site.
And then, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No,
I do want to make sure that I add one more very important thing, and that is whether you are a remote learner or an in-person learner, if particularly our remote learners, we're going to be asking all of them not to come back for the full year in person, but there are going to be a couple of upcoming testing dates that there are going to be state administered exams. The STAR test,
Yes.
EOCs, where we're going to ask our parents to send their students back to school for those dates. And the reason for that is, right now, the state has not given us a mechanism or an ability to provide that test from home, which means in order to take that test, you got to come to school. Now, this is not a test that's going to go into the grade book. It doesn't, they're very important, but it really gives us the ability to see where our students are in their learning and what support and what needs that they have that we can then support them in. And so the more students that we have taking the test, the better it is for us, because we're able to tailor their educational offerings. So parents, please expect that if your child is working from remote, we're going to be sending out information asking you to bring them in to take that STAR test. It's just a couple of days over the next several weeks. But please help us with that, because we want them to be able to take that test, not because it's going to add or take away from their grade, but really because it gives us what we need to know about their learning.
And there is, I do want to mention, there is a survey that we have on our website right now for parents that they could go in there and fill out and leave that, leave their information, leave their thought. It's for parents. We also have one for students as well. It's a simple survey. It doesn't take too much time. We invite you to visit our website, www.eisd.net. You're going to see it right there in the front banner where you can fill out that survey. And again, we need that feedback from you, parents. So please, I encourage you to visit the website website and fill out that survey as we're talking about the different forms of learning, as we're talking about going into next year. That survey is going to be really helpful for us to be better prepared for what we're going to offer our students and our families into the next coming year. And you talked about the STAR testing. That was one of the questions that we received from one of our viewers who's watching on Instagram. Her question was, will the STAR test still be on and taken like the benchmark?
Yes, absolutely.
And so thank
yeah.
you for your question.
The difference is obviously our benchmarks, we were able to provide benchmarks to students from home. We're going to need all of our kiddos to come in to take the STAR test. And so hopefully we'll be able to get all of them in. So we know kind of what we need to do to make sure that we continue to help them.
I'm sorry, just another question that we received regarding our students from Annie. Annie, thank you for sending your question. It states, do students need to get COVID-19 testing every week if the parent signs the form?
Yes.
So if the parent
So they
signs the
sign
form.
weekly. Yes.
Right,
And this
okay.
is for on-site learners. So if you're an on-site learner, we do ask that, you allow your child to test, and they will test weekly. This is a great prevention measure that we put into place, and so we definitely want to take advantage of that. I do want to state that with regard to the STAR test, it's really important and critical for students up and down, our schools in terms of grade levels, because at the high school, there are specific requirements that you need to be able to meet in order to graduate. And, as of now, those are still in place. And so we need to make sure that if you haven't met other existing criteria, that you're able to take the assessment that you need to be eligible for graduation. In 3rd through 8th grade, we're also looking at the assessment that helps drive promotion decisions. And so the test is very critical for several different key reasons. And so we ask that you ensure that you're reaching out and talking at the high school level. Please make sure you're communicating with your child's counselor to ensure that your child is on track for graduation. Especially, for our freshmen, they have different assessments that they need to take as well. And so we want to make sure that everybody is getting a strong start next year. We know this was a little rocky for us all, but we've definitely come to a place where having our children in our classrooms is the best place for them to be.
Absolutely. We'll go ahead and take another question as we're rounding out the hour here, and we're kind of closing our conversation this morning with our school chiefs here on our Facebook Live. One of our questions from Yvonne, her question is, will my daughters be able to attend Las Palmas Leadership School for Girls without having to go through the lottery?
So right now we have open enrollment, and so the great thing about our innovation schools is they're not really criterion based in terms of you have to meet a certain passing standard or do these other things. It's really open access. So we encourage all families who are interested in our program to reach out to the school so that we can save your seat. We do have a lot of innovative program. If you're a pre-K, if your child is 3 or 4 years old, I'm going to encourage you to go over to our GELT program. We are powered by Pre-K for SA. It's a wonderful early learning program. And right now we are looking for students. And then we also have our early childhood centers here in our district that have done a phenomenal job with, ensuring that we prepare our earliest learners for the future of their elementary education. So please be sure to reach out to our sites.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ms. Salinas. And again, if you continue to have any more questions, please put them in the comments. We're going to do our best to answer those within the next 24 to 48 hours. But we are closing in on an hour, and so it's incredible the conversations that we have had this morning. We want to invite you to keep sending those questions in. We want to invite you to visit our website, www.eisd.net. A lot of the things that were discussed this morning, you will find information on our website. We mentioned the surveys. That's really critical for our parents. Make sure you fill those out. You'll find those on our website. And just a lot more information about what's going on in Edgewood ISD. You'll find our campuses on there where you can visit their sites as well. But yes, we are closing in on the hour, and so we're coming to reaching our time of conversation this morning. But we do want to thank everybody who was joining us this morning in this Facebook Live conversation with our school chiefs, where we learned so so much about what we can expect for the latter part of the year, and there's still more to come. So as I mentioned earlier, please make sure you follow us on our social platforms. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. We have a YouTube channel as well where there's wonderful videos on there. And that way you can continue to be informed. And I invite you, if you have any additional questions, reach out to your campus principal, reach out to the school that your child is attending to, so that way they can help with any questions or any services that you may need. But as always, thank you for your time. Ms. Salinas, Mr. McIlvain, thank you for your time. And to our Facebook family, thank you for joining us this morning. And we're definitely going to continue with our Facebook chats. So there's more to come. So thank you all for joining us this morning. I hope you stay safe and you all have a great day.
Goodbye. Thank you.